Today we're going to look at Chapter 1.2. This is Powers and Exponents. This is for the Scholarship Math 6 class. Let's go ahead and get started right away. So I want to introduce to you what a power is in case you've never seen one before. Maybe you've heard of the term exponent. But by definition, a power is a product of repeated factors. And so you can break this down into different parts. The base, which would be like, for example, if we have 4 to the third power, the base is going to be the 4. And it basically tells you what number you're going to write down. Then you have your exponent, or the power. This is like this little 3 up here. And this tells you how many times you're going to write the base down. And then you multiply. So that's kind of what you do when you do a power. It's again, the base tells you what number you're going to write down, and the power, or exponent, tells you how many times you're going to write that number down, and then you just multiply, okay? You can also think of it in words. So again, over here, you see 3 to the second power can be said either 3 to the second power, or it can be written as 3 squared. If you have this, you can write it as 3 to the third power, or 3 cubed. Or for like this, you'd have just 3 to the fourth power. We don't say it a different way. Okay? Let's go ahead and move on to our first example. So example 1, you're asked to write each product as a power. So the product is 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. So all we have to do is think about what is the number that is being written over and over and over again. That number is 4, so that would be my base. And then you think, how many times is it being written? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the power, or exponent, is 5. That is your final answer. The answer is 4 to the fifth power. Then we look at B. We have 12 times 12 times 12. So again, 12 is the number we're writing down because 12 is the base. It's the one we see over and over again. And it's written 1, 2, 3 times. So it's 12 to the third power. Just that easy. So I want you to take a moment to try these two problems out. Pause the video, and then once you're done, see if you did it correctly. All right? Should be pretty easy. Bye.
Somebody catch my breath. I'm a goner. Somebody catch my breath. I wanna be known by you. I wanna be.
Okay, well, let's see how you guys did on this. So in the first problem, number 1, we see the number being written again and again and again is 6, so that must be our base. And it's written 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, so it is 6 to the, oops, that was really bad looking, 6 to the 6th power. That is our answer. For our next problem, we have 15, 15, 15. It's the 15 we see written over and over again, so that's our base. And it's written 1, 2, 3, 4 times, so it's 15 to the 4th power. Just like that. So hopefully that is what you came up with when you solved this. So let's move on and see how you do for our next concept. Okay, well, for example 2, it now says find the values of the powers. So in here, for part A, it says find the value of each power, and you're 7 to the second power. So we have to expand this out. So 7 to the second power would mean there are 2 7s. So you'd write 7 and 7, and you're going to multiply them. So 7 times 7, which when you multiply those, you get 49. Therefore, 7 to the second power is 49. Now, for part B, we have 5 to the third power, so we're going to write 5 down 3 times. We're going to multiply. So we have 5 times 5 is 25, and 5 quarters is $1.25, or 125. So our answer for 5 cubed is 125. That is how you'd find the value of the powers. Now, I do want to point out that the square of a whole number is also called a perfect square. So the square of a whole number is called a perfect square. So moving on to example 3, it says determine whether each number is a perfect square. So we start off with the number 64, and it wants to know, is this a perfect square? Like if we do the square root. So the square root would be what two numbers that are the exact same multiply to get this square. Okay, I think the easiest way to do this is to kind of give you the list of the different squares. And you'll want to write this down. You'll have a little bit more room than I'll have. Like I'll write, you should write to the right side. I'm going to write over here to the left side just because I have a little bit more room over here. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller just so I can have some more room. Move this over, or maybe not. All right, so let's look at this. So if I have 1 squared, that equals 1. If I have 2 squared, that equals 4. 3 squared is 3 times 3, which is 9. 4 squared is 4 times 4, which is 16. Then I have 5 squared, which is 25. 5 times 5 is 25. 6 squared is 6 times 6, which is 36. 7 squared is 7 times 7, which is 49. 8 squared is 8 times 8, which is 64. 9 squared is 9 times 9, which is 81. And 10 squared is 10 times 10, which is 100. Those are your first basic sets of perfect squares. So if you can remember these should be really easy for you. So if we look at A, it says, is 64 a perfect square? Well, we can look over here and we can see that 8 squared is 64. So yes, it is, because 8 times 8 is 64. Now 20. Is 20 a perfect square? Well, we see that 4 squared is 16. We see 5 squared is 25. 20 falls somewhere in between, so it's like 4 point something squared. So that would be a no. That would be the reason why. It falls between 4 squared and 5 squared. Okay? Hopefully that makes some sense to you. Again, I would definitely write down everything I'm writing here. Okay? It'd be helpful. All right, at this point, I want you guys to go ahead and try problems 3 through 10. Feel free to use your notes if you aren't sure what to do, and then pause the video. And when you're done with these problems, I will come back on and we'll see how you did. All right, great.
It's what you think, no one. Empathy might be on the brink of extinction. They will play a game and say they know what you're going through, when I try to come up with an artistic way to say they don't know you, and neither do I. So here's a prime example of a stand-up guy who hates what he believes and loves it at the same time. Here's my brother and his head screwed up, but that's all.
Okay, let's take a look at how you did on these. So find the value of each power. So 6 to the third power, that's 6 times 6 times 6. And 6 times 6 is 36. And we have to do 36 times 6. Now, I'm not sure who can do this in their head. I can't do it in my head, so I'm going to go ahead and write it off to the side here. Because you're not using calculators on this test, so make sure you know this. You will not use calculators on this test. 36 times 6 is, let's see, 6 times 6 is 36. Carry the 3. 6 times 3 is 18, plus 3 is 21, so 216. 216. And then it gets easier. 9 squared, which would be just 9 times 9. This is 81. 3 to the fourth power, which is 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. This would be 9 times 9, which is 81 as well. And then for the last one, we have 18 squared. Again, I don't know if you can do that in your head. It's 18 times 18. I know I can't, so I'm going to do 18 times 18. 8 times 8 is 64. Carry my 6. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 6 is 14. Carry my 0, or put my 0 here because I'm moving over a spot. and then 1 times 8 is 8. 1 times 1 is 1. Going to add these together. 4 plus 0 is 4. 8 plus 4 is 12. Carry the 1. 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. So I get 324. And that would be the first 4 problems. Hopefully that was what you came up with as well. Let's go ahead and look at 7 through 10. Again, we're going to refer back to this list over here. I have these memorized, so they're easy to do for me. Hopefully you'll get them memorized as well. 25. Is this a perfect square? Well, we know that 5 times 5 is 25, so this would be a yes. Number 8 is 2. Well, 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, so that would be a no. 99, it's really close. 9 times 9 is 81. 10 times 10 is 100, so that would be a no. And as we just said, 10 times 10 is 100, so for number 10, 100 is a perfect square. It would be a yes. Hoping you came up with the same responses. Let's go ahead and get down to the ending part of our notes here. Over here, remember that the area of a figure is the amount of surface it covers. Okay, we often know it for squares as base times height or side times side. The area is measured in square units. Keep that in mind. So the area of a square is equal to the length, or is equal to its side length squared. So if you know one side of a square, you can just square it and find out what the area is. So if I know one side is 3, I know I can square it, and that's 3 times 3, which is 9. So the area would be 9 square units, or 9 units squared. I don't care if you write it this way or if you write it this way. They both work. Okay? So let's go ahead and try this example here. For number 4, the example, it says, a Monopoly game board is a square with a side length of 20 inches. You can see right here. What is the area of the game board? And so again, all we're doing here is we're going to take the side length, which is 20, and since it is a square, we just are going to square it. So I get 20 squared, which is the same thing as 20 times 20. And so here's a trick for you. 2 times 2 is 4. Add my 2 zeros here. I get 400. So the area of the game board is 400 square inches. If it is a word problem, I want to see your answer written in a complete sentence. Okay? So we are just about done. I want you guys to go ahead and try number 11. I'm going to pause the video, and when you're done with your problem, go ahead and click resume and see if you did okay. All right? Thank you. I'll see you in a minute.
Games moment in the moment when I'm living in a momentary sin in a moment past and after a re-beginning moment spinning memories pretending enemies are frenemies sending me straight to bending me my bad behavior but I better could have been a better man copy and paste caught me copy better rise bother me the better the rhythm the better I am but the better when the better I am gambling man better I am a gambling man I am.
All right, let's finish this up. So it says, what is the area of the square traffic sign in square inches? So again, we know that the side length is 24. So I'm going to go ahead and write 24, and it's going to be 24 squared, right? Which is 24 times 24. I can't do that in my head, so you probably can't do that in your head. So I'm going to do 24 times 24. 4 times 4 is 16. Carry the 1. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. I'm going to bring my 0 over here now. And 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 2 is 4. And I can add. 6 plus 0 is 6. 9 plus 8 is 17. Carry my 1. 1 plus 4 is 5. So 576. So I'm going to write my answer in a complete sentence. The area of the sign. The area of the sign is 576 square inches, or inches squared. that is it, and the notes are now officially over. I'll leave you with one last song to kind of chill out to, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye.
I wake up fine and dandy, but then by the time I find it handy to rip my heart apart and start planning my crash landing, I go up, 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 up to the ceiling. Then I feel my soul start leaving, like an old man's hair receding. I'm bleeding, bleeding, so please on my knees repeatedly, asking why it's got to be like this. Is this living free? I don't want to be the one to listen to songs, blood on my hands out to the moon. Take this weapon, force in darkness, some see a pen, I see a harpoon.